This video is for educational purposes only. Options Geek LLC is not a broker-dealer. Options Geek LLC and Felix Fry are not registered investment advisors. Options involve substantial risk and are not suitable for everyone. Please consult your own investment advisor before doing any trading. Make sure you read the full disclaimer at the end of this episode. The financials have been under pressure over the last few weeks. Today, we're going to take a look at Schwab. There's a lot of put buying in there, so let's take a look. So here at the homepage, again, we're going to look at 100 results, no spreads, greater than 2 weeks to start. And we're going to click on side only to look at the ask side. And we have this. Johnson Johnson's been active. Nikola in the last couple of days. We've seen Schwab here twice in just this little frame here. So I'm going to look at Schwab. And I see Schwab Sep 23, 50 puts, 55 puts in October, 50 puts in September 29th puts. Let's just see what's out there. Remember, this is total volume within a certain strike. Okay, so that's sorted by highest volume right now, 12,368 in the September 50 puts. Down here are the individual trades, the block trades. So this was 6,000 of the ACK 55 puts traded at $1.75 on the ask with the stock 58.13. You can see the stock is down a lot further already here. The volume here, 8,153 at the time of that trade. And the open interest is only 2,000. So this is an opening trade, happened right at 10 o'clock. Which is also interesting. That's usually when the big money guys come in. So 10 o'clock, they come in to buy Schwab. The September 50 puts also on the ask were traded here 5,000 times with 10,000 on the day already. And that was at 12. And then the 50 puts also on the ask. That was also around noontime. So we have a lot of put buying coming in later in the day. So this 6,000 block is part of the total of about 11.3 that traded today in the Octobers. Let's take a look at what's going on in October today. So here's the earnings are going to be on October 16th. So they are buying earnings. They are buying earnings. Here's the 11,000. So we can click the shaded area and you see that this strike is in the unshaded area, which is where you want to see it. The RR dollar right now is 49 and a quarter. You know, if you were buying these for 250 right now, you'd have to look at, let's call it around 46 on the stock. So to pay 250 on the 55s, you're looking at around 46, 47, 46, 47, 48 already starts moving you higher. 47, 46, 45, 44 is pointed to the 52. So around, let's call it 46 for right now. 46 is the target there. And now we can look at Schwab. Now, the news is that they've made an announcement last night to cut costs. They're in the middle of this TD Ameritrade deal, but cutting costs here and the amount of costs they were cutting, they also mentioned that they were going to take a look at the real estate portfolio. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with that, but they're going to look at it, evaluate it, maybe try to sell it if there's a buyer. I'm not sure if people are going to get the price they want for their real estate assets at this juncture in time. So let's take a look at, I want to start with the weekly just to get an idea of what's happening here. And this is an ugly chart. This is, you have highs here. So let's call it highs up here. This wave here, and again down to about the 45 twice. Bounced here and now has failed at the 67 level. So this here is below the 50 weekly moving average and now below the 200 weekly moving average. It almost looks like it wants to do this, right? It almost looks like it just wants to dive here into the 35 range, which would be right around here. Eyeballing it, that's sort of what it looks like. Just going to draw another trend line here and push it off the latest resistance. So, I mean, you're talking about a move towards 30, which is the lows right here. I think that's interesting. I see them coming after, you start thinking 46, the target is 46. You're thinking that's pretty low. That's just targeting this low here, right? We said the RR dollar was helping us point towards around this range. Okay, when they're buying the 55s. It's probably a little bit higher because they paid a little bit lower earlier in the morning than what it is right now. But nonetheless, it's going to be pointing towards right around here. If it gets there, it's more likely to actually break the lows and start heading into this box or this range. And that's how you can get to this, $30 point where this wave would be pointing to. Does it get there? It really all depends on what's in that real estate book. And that's the trick here. If there's forced selling, we're going to learn what's in that book. And that's when things can go sideways. It could look like a mess if they are trying to sell it. I mean, you're seeing commercial real estate down 60 to 80% on sales in Baltimore, San Francisco, and whatnot. So the buyers in commercial real estate are a lot lower if you need to actually sell. I don't know what they're going to evaluate here. Something to consider. Let's go to the daily. Just that's a weekly here. So I always like to look at the daily to see if that shows us anything different. We're playing, the next 8 weeks. And again, you're seeing the 50-day break right here. This this resistance looked like it held here, right around the 55 level. It's actually filled the gap now, below the gap, below the 50-day. It's an ugly chart here. So the bulls want to see a recapture of 60. I suspect if it gets through 60 again, things are good and it could start looking up again. Let's take a look at this right here. This is what the bulls are going to look at. If this could hold, you have a low here, a low here, another low here, and then you could see it. If it holds, you could see a bigger push towards this range up here. But the trick is, can it hold? And the first thing it's got to do is get above 60. So 60 is your big level. Above 60, the bulls are going to get more confidence here to keep buying and pushing this above this 68 line. But for right now, I mean, you got the 52, 60, 68, $8. It's funny how that works. $8 steps here. So you have around 40, let's call it 45 here. So a little bit less than $8, but 45, 52, that's 752 to 68. So I would say Schwab is probably a short here unless it can push through 60. You're playing a short at around 56 down towards 46 is what you'd like to see, and probably takes them off in the 50. So that's what I see here. All right, that's Schwab. The banks are trading terrible. Look at Citibank; it's not looking good, and Bank of America. All these banks are trading, are having a tough time. I'm not sure the market can get to a bull market without the banks. So if it's time for the banks to start making their move down in the regionals, I think the market's going to have some trouble here. So be careful out there.